All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me as we talk about core components of the internship program at UVA CAPS. I'm really appreciative that you all could join me and take out the time in your very busy schedules to talk about the aspects of training that you facilitate. I know that there's the other videos of the former interns and prior interns. So for those of you who are applying to our internship site, feel free to check those out. What we're going to talk about today, though, are the core components of the internship program. I'll just say a few things. Well, first, why don't we do introductions? And since we can't tell what order we're in, I'll sort of call on people. I'm Matt Zimmerman. I'm the training director. Been at UVA CAPS, I guess I'm in my 16th year at this point. I'm gonna throw it to Lenny.
Lenny Carter, I'm an LPC, and I'm the Crisis Services Coordinator, and I've been at CAPS for 20 years, I think, as far as I can remember.
Belinda?
I've been at CAPS 1 year less than Matt. I came in 2006, so I guess we're the old timers now.
We very quickly became the old timers. Felt quick to me anyway. Bea.
So I'm Bea Palma. I'm one of the new staff at CAPS, and I'm a staff psychologist and group coordinator. And I've been at CAPS around 3.5 years.
Nicole.
Hi, I'm Nicole Fisher. I'm the Assistant Director for Outreach. I'm a licensed psychologist, and I've been at CAPS for 5 years.
Baojian.
Hi, I'm Baojian Xie. I'm also a staff psychologist. I have been at CAPS probably closer to Belinda. 12 years now. Okay.
Deepti.
Hi, I'm Deepti Atle. I'm a psychologist and I'm the Associate Director for Counseling Services here at CAPS, and I've been here for 6 years.
And last but not least, Erin.
Hi, I'm Erin Tracy, and I am a staff psychologist and have been at CAPS for 5 years.
Excellent. We'll edit that out, or not. So just to set the stage a little bit to those of you applying, our approach is a developmental approach to training. Graduate students come to us with varying skill sets, and so we really try to meet interns where they are. We're highly committed to infusing all aspects of training with multicultural training. And a generalist approach to training as well. So we're going to dig into these core components so that you have a sense of the program. We also hope this gives you some beginning sense of the people. Obviously, the 8 of us are sort of core trainers, but there's many of us at this point, something like 32 of us in all. And first, I'm going to go to Deepti to talk about some of the clinical aspects that interns are involved in.
Okay, so in terms of individual therapy, CAPS primarily follows a brief therapy model. We currently don't have a fixed number of sessions, but our average tends to be about 5 to 6 sessions, with some flexibility for the clinician to determine more or less based on, usually on clinical needs, and other resource considerations for the students. But we typically follow a brief therapy model. Our brief screens are the most typical way for students to come into our system for non-urgent concerns. And I believe Lenny's going to talk about how we respond to students who are in crisis. But for students who are not in crisis and are interested in services or support, we schedule them from brief screens. These are typically done on the phone. and are really a great opportunity for clinicians to quickly connect with students, to do a quick assessment of their presenting concerns, their current level of functioning, and any factors that might pose a risk to their safety or well-being. And then based on this assessment, the clinician makes a determination for what resources or what support plan makes most sense for the student, what might best meet their needs. So this could include, getting the student plugged into the CAPS system for brief therapy, or crisis stabilization, or getting them connected with other resources in the Charlottesville community or online resources, depending on what's most appropriate and what the student feels ready to engage in. From the brief screen, a possible next step could be intake assessments at CAPS. So these used to be in person before we all moved to the virtual environment, and now they're done on telehealth. But this is a more comprehensive assessment where the student meets with the therapist one-on-one. The therapist does a more detailed assessment, not only of their current struggles and concerns, but gets more of a mental health history, relevant developmental history, just to formulate a little bit clearer diagnostic picture or conceptualization of the student. This sometimes, actually often, is followed by the therapist seeing the student for brief therapy, but sometimes that assessment actually helps the therapist determine an alternative treatment plan. So that could be a longer term therapy in the community or more specialized services that are outside the scope of CAPS. And then the therapist, sometimes with the help of our care managers, will help the student find a good fit in the community. So those are typically the first couple steps that students engage in when they come in contact with us for non-urgent concerns.
And the brief therapy, do you know what we're averaging these days, Deepti?
Yeah, it's about 5, and for trainees, it often ends up being closer to 6 sessions.
6 sessions per client. Okay, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna actually go to Lenny next because Lenny, as our crisis guru, actually has a potential crisis that he needs to respond to. So Lenny, you wanna talk to us about crisis intervention and clinical consultation?
Well, yeah, this is ironic, right? So I'm supposed to be talking about crisis services, but I'm on call this afternoon. So thanks for slotting me in here. So yeah, just to tell you a little bit about our crisis services program, it's a 24/7 wraparound service. So it really requires a lot of effort from all of us. And it's certainly a key component in terms of our suicide prevention efforts at UVA. So what would you do if you were an intern and you came to us? You'd be covering about a 4 or 5 hour shift every week during the week. And then you would also cover a total of 5 weeks for night call. And we try to divide that up into half-week shifts. So you'd cover about a week's worth in the fall, a couple of weeks in the spring, and a couple of weeks in the summer. So what kinds of things would you be doing? The range of activities is really A to Z. So you're going to be doing a lot of consultation with collateral folks like parents, faculty, deans, and roommates, and then of course mostly direct services for students that are just contacting us in crisis or emergency. We tend not to do a lot of going on site after hours. We usually do that maybe once or twice a year. So most of it is office-based during non-COVID times. That said, the traffic in the walk-in system during the day, Monday through Friday, is pretty heavy, particularly in the weekends. Particularly in the afternoons, not on the weekends. Edit that out. And also, we want to make it clear that we provide a lot of training when you get here. So we give you a lot of training in August and September. I think interns usually do not feel like they are thrown into the fire. So consistent with what Matt said about the developmental model, we're going to spend time having you observe us, we're going to observe you, and then when you feel ready to go, then you're operating more like a parallel colleague, but you always have us to come back to for consultation, and we're always available for that. For night call, we do have a nursing service now, and so they take the first whack at the calls that come in nights and weekends, and that's been a nice addition, which allows us to get a little more sleep nights and weekends. And the final thing that I will say is that if you come here for internship, you're going to get a lot of great supervision. You're going to learn a lot about being a psychotherapist, but you're also going to get a lot of exposure to crisis intervention. And I think we can sort of guarantee that you're going to be very good at both psychotherapy and crisis intervention by the end of the year. And you'll begin to see how those skills overlap and diverge. So you get a heavy dose of both during the year.
Thank you, Lenny. And I know you got to run, but feel free to come back if time permits. All right, Bea, can you tell us about how interns are involved in group and our group therapy program?
Absolutely. And I would like to start saying that actually we have a thriving group program. We are currently offering around 12 groups, and our group program covers a wide range of groups. We currently have skills-based groups, for example, DBT groups, maintaining well-being. We also offer support groups, for example, for international students, graduate students, and bipolar disorder support groups. And we also offer interpersonal process groups. So just to give you a sense of the wide range of things that we're addressing with groups, and our groups are very well utilized. In terms of interns, actually interns are very active in our group program because you would co-lead groups with our staff therapists. And we really like you to be involved in our groups. I think it's I'm a little biased, I'm the group coordinator. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to engage in treatment and learning with and from others too. As part of that process, we also offer a group seminar in which we will be addressing specific aspects of group therapy. You will learn about different issues that come up in terms of group treatment, and we will also engage in group supervision, which is something that I really like. And just to give you a sense a little of how we had to respond in terms of our current needs right now, because of all the layers of pandemics that we're responding to, our groups are currently virtual. So if you look at our website, you're going to see things a little different to what it would be every year. And we also use our groups to respond to the students' unique needs. For example, we're currently in the process of developing new groups for students who are isolating and are quarantining, and or some groups to respond to students who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So it's a wide range of services that we provide through our group services. I think that's all.
Yeah, thank you. And I think everyone on this call is facilitating a group right now, maybe except me. Can we just go around and mention a group that you're facilitating right now? Belinda?
I facilitate the graduate student support group, which I've done for several years and really enjoy it.
And Nicole?
I facilitate one of the interpersonal process groups and the Black women's support group called In the Company of My Sister.
Mm-hmm. Erin?
I co-facilitate the eating disorder recovery support group with Deep D. In the past, we've done an interpersonal process group for eating disorder recovery, and during COVID, we've turned that into a more structured support group.
Mm-hmm. And Deepti, are you running just one group or more than one group right now?
So I am co-facilitating said eating disorder recovery support group with Erin, and I'm also going to be offering the support group for students of color this semester. And typically every semester I co-facilitate the DBT group as well, which I will resume doing next semester.
Bajan?
I facilitate a support group for international students, which has been running for many, many years.
And Bea, how many groups are you running right now?
Right now, ironically, none, but I'm the one that's going to be jumping. Usually has been interpersonal process group. And I'm right now determining which of the groups we're going to be needing so that I can jump, whether in an extra interpersonal process group or COVID-related groups, etc.
Andrea has been busy herding all of us and continuing to add groups. So she's kind of overseeing all of that, which is a lot of work.
Yeah, very busy. It's a busy time.
Yeah, but I appreciate you, Matt, naming everybody, because our group program, for it to work, it takes a village. So it's because of the great staff members that jump in every opportunity that there's a group, that this can be such a thriving program. So thank you all.
Well put, well put. Okay, Baojen and Erin, can you talk about multicultural training in the internship program and how it sort of crosses in an overarching way?
Why don't you go ahead and start, Baojen?
So maybe I'll start, and then Erin can feel free to add or kind of the So basically, for multicultural training, a big component is multicultural seminar, so which Erin and I, we co-facilitate. So it's a bi-weekly seminar throughout most of your internship year, fall and spring semester. So we do different things for those 2 semesters. For the 4th semester, the main purpose is to increase interns' self-awareness of their own cultural heritage, different aspects of social identities, their own kind of word we use, bias, privileges. So basically the purpose is through increased self-awareness that can also help them better understand about how that impact their interaction with the clients, because we do believe every clinical encounter is a multicultural encounter. Okay. So during the 4th semester, interns will be facilitated to do their own cultural genogram and also other kind of activities and experiential discussion for self-awareness. So Erin, do you want to talk about the spring semester?
Sure, and I want to add that the emphasis in 1st semester and throughout the year is really self-reflection, and like Baojen said, self-awareness, and we believe that it's a career-long process. So even though you've done those things in graduate school, it's not something we just do once, we do it again and we keep doing it. And so we're giving you an opportunity to do that as an intern cohort here, hopefully in a very open, non-judgmental, and non-defensive space. So in terms of 2nd semester, we have less of an agenda and ask interns to come up with a topic collectively that they want to explore in more depth. And then Baojen and I create a syllabus for that particular topic. And that usually includes readings, it could include a guest speaker, often a film. And so we get a chance to really delve into something that you all want to learn more about during 2nd semester.
I would add that staff has been engaged in training, and our new diversity committee is really taking a look at how we want to grow through self-reflection and as an organization as well. It's an exciting time in that regard. Any other components you want to mention? I'll mention the log that trainees on a monthly basis submit to me, a diversity and difference log that is really meant to promote self-reflection with each of the clients that an intern takes under their caseload, and think about how are they different, how are they similar, how does that impact the relationship. Any other thoughts on that?
I think overall for the multicultural training, except for seminar or log, I think another is kind of the more try to integrate this through different aspects of intern training. For example, Nicole probably will talk about outreach, how the cultural diversity piece in together with the outreach consultation, certainly for all the supervision, right? Individual supervision and the things and all the training components for the multicultural piece will be discussed in their supervision too. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Belinda, can you talk to us about supervision training?
Sure. So supervision of supervision is something that I really enjoy doing. And it pretty much relies on the cohort group being comfortable with each other. So it takes a little warm up time initially. And then as the interns are more of a cohesive group and feel pretty comfortable showing tape to each other and to me, I think supervision of supervision gets to be really fun and enjoyable. Our supervisees are practicum students from nearby programs, 2 at UVA, 1 at JMU, that's James Madison University, that occasionally gives us some practicum students. We watch tape of different supervision sessions and talk about what we think is going on developmentally and with the multicultural focus and what we're doing. And what the practicum students are learning. And I think they get quite a bit out of it too.
Thank you. And Nicole, can you tell us about outreach and community consultation?
Sure. So our outreach program is comprised into 3 parts. One is our collaborative programs, and these are really connected to our embedded therapists. We have therapists at the law school, the School of Business, both at the undergraduate and graduate level, the School of Architecture, and the School of Engineering and Applied Science. And so each of those therapists, in addition to providing clinical services, they provide a tremendous amount of outreach to those respective communities as they're fully embedded and encompassed within those schools and those curriculums. Our signature programs would encompass the programs that we do on an annual basis or even multiple times throughout the year. So that would include our multiple wellness screening day, summer orientation, our residence life orientation, our suicide prevention program, and most recently, the addition of more outreach groups. And these groups are distinguished from our clinical groups in the sense that on a virtual platform, they're available to all students, regardless of their location. So it really broadens the scope in terms of how many students we can touch and how many students we can impact with providing them with supportive services and safe spaces to talk about emerging concerns. And then finally, we have our responsive outreach, and those are the outreach programs that we respond to. So we receive a lot of requests from students, faculty, staff, administrators to present to students, to participate in student events, to speak to classes, perhaps provide guest lectures, but it's anything that's requested of CAPS in terms of us disseminating information and sharing with students the resources that we offer, and also facilitating some sort of basic self-care needs that students can take with them as opposed to seeking our clinical services. The outreach program is, it's a large component of the internship year. The interns do engage in outreach supervision with me, and they also facilitate their own independent outreach project. This year, all 3 of our interns will be working together on one project, although typically each intern has the opportunity to facilitate their own individual project. So we're excited to see what can come from one large comprehensive outreach project. There's a big emphasis on social justice when we're talking about outreach and community collaboration and cross-cultural engagement. And so that coincides with our multicultural training program as that's encompassed throughout everything that we do at CAPS, but we speak really explicitly about social justice and social justice initiatives and advocacy within the context of outreach.
Thank you, Nicole. So those are the core components. I would say that we are a hardworking group of professionals. that we work in a very team-oriented way, that we are warm and generous in stepping in when need be and when requests are made, and that we're a nice place to work is what we hear from outgoing interns. Anybody have anything else to add before we bring our video to a close?
I'll add that despite being a predominantly white institution, our interns end up seeing a wide range of students from different backgrounds and different identities throughout their time here. And there's, I think they might experience a lot of diversity, both in presenting concerns and severity, but also racial, ethnic background, gender identities, and that typically tends to surprise interns coming in, but there's a really rich variety of experience that interns end up getting here in terms of their clinical work.
Wonderful point.
I'm going to add that I love co-facilitating the multicultural seminar with Baojen and have learned and have grown a lot myself through that process.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. It's a joy to co-facilitate with you. I guess that's also something about our teamwork at CAPS. Okay, yeah, And part of the fun at CAPS is not just about doing work, but also kind of the work together with colleagues. Yeah, I appreciate that for years. Yeah.
Well, on that note, let's come to a close. And for those who are deciding if they're going to apply to us or not, we wish you the best in the process.